A fisherman was casting his net into the sea, trying to catch fish. Suddenly, something extremely heavy got tangled in the net. With great difficulty, he pulled it out. It was a massive lump of gold, but it was covered in thick layers of mud, moss, and filth. Its true shine was completely hidden. The unaware fisherman mistook it for a useless rock and carelessly threw it onto the shore. Years passed. One day, a stone mason picked up that rock and used it to fill a crack in a crumbling city fortress wall. The gold remained wedged between stones, enduring sunlight, rain, storms, and even the blasts of war cannons. Time passed again. One day, a curious girl climbed onto the fortress wall. At the same time, a prince strolling nearby noticed her. Startled, the girl slipped, and that same piece of gold fell down with her. When it struck the ground, the layers of dirt and grime built up over centuries shattered and fell away. Brilliant gold gleamed from within. The girl's eyes widened in shock. She took the piece home. She washed it with water, scrubbed it clean, and slowly, a strange shape began to appear within the gold. Curious, she kept cleaning it. But while scrubbing, she accidentally broke the mouth of the golden vessel. Suddenly, black smoke streaked with 5 colors burst out rapidly. It swirled in the air, rising higher and higher, and within moments transformed into a gigantic figure. Terrified, the girl fainted on the spot. A massive hand caught her before she hit the ground. When she regained consciousness, the same giant mysterious figure stood before her. Its voice echoed, deep but gentle. "Do not be afraid. I am not a demon. I am a genie, imprisoned in this golden vessel centuries ago. A curse binds me as well." The girl trembled as she listened. The genie continued, "Until a human asks me for 3 wishes, I cannot be freed. Whoever's wishes I fulfill receives their heart's desire, and I gain my freedom." Hearing this, hope replaced fear in the girl's eyes. Without wasting a moment, she said, "I am a poor girl, but I have fallen in love with a prince. I truly love him. My only wish is to spend my life with him." She told the genie, "I want to be with the prince forever, and I want him to love me too." The genie took out a glowing magical oil from the golden vessel and told the girl to apply it all over her body. As a precaution, they hid the golden vessel beneath a loose brick in the palace floor so it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. That night, in the silence of darkness, the genie whispered the girl's name into the prince's ear. The next morning, the moment the prince saw her, he was instantly enchanted. Slowly, he brought her to the palace, and she became the most beloved and cherished queen in the royal court. To secure her place, the girl asked for a second wish from the genie. "I want to bear the prince's child, and let it be a son." The genie granted this wish as well. But the height she reached through fate began to change her. She became arrogant and commanding. Her growing power and the prince's love for her began to sting the other queens. Jealousy, conspiracy, and power struggles filled the palace. Among the queens was one named Rena, clever, ambitious, and extremely patient. Rena wanted her own son to become the next king. She seized her opportunity. First, she spread rumors throughout the palace that the prince was plotting against his own father, the aging king. Then, day after day, she poisoned the king's ears. Slowly, a wall of suspicion rose between father and son. At last, the old king believed the lies. Blinded by anger and a sense of betrayal, he made a terrible decision. The prince was summoned to court, and the soldiers were ordered to strangle him with a bowstring. The poor prince, without being able to prove his innocence, died there, struggling for breath. When the genie heard the news, he rushed to the girl. He said, "You now have only one last wish left. Think carefully before you ask." But upon hearing of the prince's death, the girl was shattered. Her heart was filled with grief. She was in no state to think. And then, the palace conspiracies struck their final blow. Men loyal to the rival queen seized the girl. She was stuffed into a sack and thrown into the sea in the darkness of night. The waves swallowed her, and the genie's final wish remained unfulfilled. The genie rushed after the girl, reaching the sea in an instant. Without hesitation, he dove into the waves, but it was already too late. He could feel it. The girl had drowned. She had never spoken her third and final wish. Because of that, the genie was not freed, and a mysterious force pulled him back into the golden vessel once more. But this time, his restless, spirit-like presence wandered through the palace halls. Every day, every night. He tried to appear before people, tried to move objects, but no one could see or hear him. Years later, one day, a young boy, as if drawn by an unseen force, wandered into an old abandoned bathhouse inside the palace. His eyes stopped at a loose brick in the floor. Curious, he tried to pry it out with his small sword. He struggled with all his strength, but the brick did not budge. Just then, his younger brother came in. Together, they were about to loosen the brick when their mother walked in and scolded them, dragging them away. Once again, the genie missed his chance at freedom. Time passed. The older boy with the sword grew up and eventually became king, but he was cruel by nature. He loved war. Again and again, he led his army to invade neighboring kingdoms. One day, during a fierce battle, he was surrounded by enemies. The fighting dragged on, and news reached the palace that the king had likely been killed. Hearing this, his mother accepted that her eldest son was dead. To keep the royal bloodline on the throne, she crowned the younger son king. But the younger son was foolish, and she knew it. So she had a lavish chamber built inside the palace. Gold, silver, precious jewels, delicious food, and beautiful dancers and singers filled the room. The young prince was locked inside, so he would enjoy luxury and stay away from ruling. Slowly, he grew used to his golden cage. He wanted comfort and pleasure, not responsibility. The queen mother believed the real power was now in her hands, but she did not know. The son she believed dead was still alive. By some miracle, the elder prince returned alive, but he was no longer the same man. Years of war had turned his heart to stone. He had become even more ruthless, even more bloodthirsty. The moment he returned to the palace, he seized power, and first, he began a brutal purge. He ordered the execution of all ministers and courtiers who had served during his younger brother's rule. Then he declared himself king once more. He intended to kill his unworthy younger brother too, but when he saw him, weak, spoiled, drowning in luxury, he felt disgust instead of anger. He thought such a useless man would destroy himself anyway. Time passed. Defeats in war and the emptiness inside him began to break the king. He slowly drowned himself in alcohol. Day and night, he remained intoxicated, until one day, his body gave out. The king died. Once again, the question of the throne arose. The queen mother placed the foolish younger son back on the throne. This time, she appointed a strict and domineering queen as head of the palace and chief advisor so she could handle the real governance. One day, this heavy queen went to bathe in the royal bathhouse. The floor was wet, her foot slipped, and she fell hard on the very brick beneath which the golden vessel was hidden. The impact shifted the brick, and the golden vessel opened once more. The genie, imprisoned for centuries, was finally released. He instantly appeared before the woman and said in a frantic voice, "Quick, ask me for 3 wishes. Only then can I be free." But the queen panicked. She thought some ghost or spy had been watching her bathe. In anger, she grabbed the vessel and hurled it out the palace window into the sea. The genie was imprisoned again, lost in the depths of time. Who knows how many years later, that same vessel came into the hands of another woman. She was an orphan girl. At just 12 years old, she had been married off to a wealthy merchant 45 years older than her. The merchant already had 3 wives. 2 had grown old. Their beauty had faded. So the new, young, and beautiful girl quickly became his favorite. One day, a fisherman caught a large fish. When its belly was cut open and cleaned, that same small golden vessel was found inside. Laughing, the merchant gave the toy to his young wife to please her. That night, after the merchant fell asleep in satisfaction, the girl curiously picked up the strange little vessel. She examined it closely and slowly began to open its lid. The genie appeared once again. Just like before, he spoke quickly, almost urgently. "Ask for 3 wishes. Only then will everything be fulfilled." But this woman was different from all the others. She didn't panic, and she didn't become greedy. Instead, with excitement in her eyes, she led the genie into her room and said, "Come, let me show you something." The room was filled with strange devices, glass vials, and tools. She was a born inventor, sharp-minded, curious, someone who thought differently. But in that era, because she was a woman, her identity had been reduced to nothing more than a housewife. That suffocation burned inside her. Finally, she made her first wish. "I want all the knowledge in the world. My mind feels incomplete. Fill it." The genie waved his hand. Piles of books appeared in the room. Then he transformed those books into a glowing liquid that shimmered like molten glass. The liquid settled into different bottles. The genie said, "Drink any one of these, and all the knowledge from that book will become part of you." Slowly, the room filled with colorful glass bottles. Each one held the light of knowledge. The woman began drinking them one by one. History, mathematics, philosophy, chemistry, astronomy. Her mind began to transform rapidly. She was no longer the same person. She realized she was not anyone's toy. She refused even to let the wealthy merchant touch her. She locked herself in the attic, working day and night on a mysterious formula. She began to feel that time was running out. So she made her second wish. "I want my mind to stay awake even while I sleep so that I never stop learning." In an instant, her mind felt as if it had opened completely. Even in sleep, her brain continued to work. Ideas, discoveries, equations, they flashed like lightning. She unraveled the secrets of energy, matter, and unseen forces. She even began to understand how beings like genies come into existence. During this journey, the genie and the woman grew closer. In conversation, in curiosity, in shared loneliness, they fell in love. But that love also became fear in the genie's heart. He knew that the moment she made her third wish, his imprisonment would end, and perhaps his existence too. Now, he didn't want to be free. He wanted to stay with her, so he decided he would not let her make the third wish. But when the woman discovered this, she exploded with anger. She trembled with rage. She felt the genie was no different from the wealthy merchant, a being who didn't want to control her body, but now her mind and her freedom. That realization pierced the genie's heart like an arrow. Drowning in guilt, he sealed himself back inside the golden vessel, hoping she would calm down, hoping she would feel that nothing was stopping her anymore. But by then, it was too late. The woman's mind had become unbalanced under the weight of knowledge and obsession. With tears in her eyes and a storm in her mind, she made her final wish. "I wish All of this were just a dream. I wish I would forget the genie. I wish I would remember none of this pain, this love, these memories. The wish was granted. The very next morning, she was once again an ordinary woman. She remembered no knowledge, no discoveries, no genie, and no love. And the genie was once again trapped inside the same empty, cold, dark vessel. Centuries of silence became his companion once more. Thousands of years later, a woman bought that strange, bottle-shaped vessel from an old antique shop. To her, it was just a decorative object. At home, she began scrubbing off the layers of dirt with a toothbrush. Suddenly, the lid popped open on its own. A burst of black and red smoke shot out. The smoke spiraled upward, then settled into the shape of a massive leg. The woman froze in shock. She thought she was dreaming. She pinched herself, splashed water on her face, but the mysterious presence was still there. She tried speaking to it in different languages: English, French, Arabic, no response. Then she casually muttered, "Greek, ancient Greece, meteorite." At that, the smoky being stirred. It began touching objects in the room: books, the TV, the screen of her phone, as if it were absorbing knowledge from them. Within moments, it understood modern language. Its voice became clear. It said to the woman, "I once served in the court of a queen in ancient Greece. I discovered a terrible secret of hers. As punishment, I was imprisoned in this vessel for thousands of years." It paused, then continued, "Until the person who opens the bottle asks for 3 wishes. I cannot be free." It looked at her with hope. "Quickly, make a wish." But this woman was different. She had been alone since childhood. Life had taught her. Every desire comes with a price. In a calm voice, she said, "I don't want anything." The genie was stunned. She then asked, "If I don't make a wish, what will happen to you?" At this question, the genie's voice softened. Memories returned. Endless darkness, silence, loneliness. Where there was only waiting and no sound at all. Slowly, it began telling the story of its solitude, a pain older than time itself. Hearing this, something stirred deep in the woman's heart. She too had lived a lonely life. She understood what centuries of isolation might feel like. Softly, she said, "Maybe I can't break your curse, but I can walk beside you." After much thought, she made her first wish. "I want to be able to love you and for you to love me." The genie stood motionless. In 3,000 years, no one had ever asked for a wish without greed, only connection. When it felt the sincerity in her heart, it granted the wish. And so began their days together. Small moments, shared smiles, conversations, silences, a strange but genuine love. But this world was not made for a being like the genie. The noise of the modern city, machines, horns, the hum of electricity, tore through its sensitive senses. Every sound cut through it like a blade. Still, it endured, only for her. One evening, when the woman returned from work, she noticed golden dust scattered through the house. Following the faint trail, she went down to the basement. There, the genie was curled in a corner. Its body looked like it was breaking apart, like crumbling ash from burnt wood, light and fading. It didn't want her to see it like that. So in panic, it vanished. The woman understood. This world would destroy it. With tears in her eyes, she made her second wish. "Go back to your true world, where you can survive." The moment she spoke, the golden vessel, symbol of its prison, shattered on its own. 3,000 years of captivity ended in that instant. But freedom had a price: separation. In their final moments, the woman lay in the genie's arms. They said goodbye without words, and then it was gone. She carefully kept its clothes and memories in the basement. Time passed. She wrote their story in a book, so the world would know that love is not always human, but it can still be real. Sometimes she would sit in the park, watching couples laugh, and smile to herself, whispering, "I have loved too, truly." One day, while walking along a park path, she felt a familiar energy. She turned. There, a short distance away, stood that familiar figure. The genie could not fully live in this world, but now it could return from time to time. Tears of joy filled the woman's eyes. She smiled. Their love was no longer about always being together, but every meeting was full of life, precious and unforgettable forever.